There are no outstanding penalties. You ain't got to worry about me removing any penalties. Any questions?
The train exit is on the left of the track.
What did I say?
Right.
Yeah,
He corrected himself.
I corrected myself. It is wrong in the brief. You're correct. Yes, I meant to. That's one edit I did not make, and I just now noticed it. So yeah, you know how it is on the left. So with that cleared up, any other questions? Okay, I'm going to hit next session to advance because I have to. That way I can use this session's results to grab the grid and set the grid. So if somebody's on track, they need to get off, which I think is Gilles. So.
Welcome to MNRL McLaren 1998 F1
Tommy. Nice,
Round 9, presented by Champion Motorsport, Storm
nice
Gang
lap.
Simulation, Optical
Yeah,
Dream
good one,
Soft,
Tommy.
Ozerdigan Design, Habley Rishke, Barry DiMarzo, Brian B, JM Track, Sim Race 247,
And I got into the
Grid
17th.
Finder,
That's
Sim
what I
Grid,
was happy.
Apex
I was
Modding,
fine.
and
I
Grand
was trying
Touring
so
Group.
hard in
The
practice.
warm-up begins 10 minutes
qualifying
available.
to get there. So
Qualifying
and
is in the books.
hopefully I can get this grid set and we can get this going in just one warm-up session. So I'll get to this. I'll
This
get
is
working on it.
MNRL McLaren 1998 F1, Round 9, with thanks to Champion Motorsport, Storm Gang Simulation, Optical Dream Soft, Ozerdigan Design, Habley Rishke, Barry DiMarzo, Brian B, JM Tracks, Sim Race 247, Grid Finder, Sim Grid, Apex Modding, and Grand Touring Group. On board with Tommy Teasdale. Track temperature 34 degrees, and it's dry out there for now.
Mr. Bow, long time no see.
How are you, sir?
Pretty good. What brings you back?
This
Magny
car.
Coors. And well, you
No,
said
this
you
car.
told me you like the track too.
I
Though.
I prefer the MP4A just because I love that active suspension, but I like this one too.
Well, thanks, guys. I only had to remove. Matt only had to move one person, and then so the grid is the grid will be set once I generate this script. So we'll let this session run down to the finish, and then when this 8-minute warm-up is over and it jumps to race, there's only 35 seconds to get to the grid. So if you need to do something beforehand, now's the time to do it.
Our camera's on Nate Shiro. Riding on board with Tommy Teasdale. On board with Oliver Day. Our camera's on Daryl Kruger. Onboard camera on Tommy Teasdale.
Okay, about 45 seconds. This session will be over. When it clicks over, there's only 35 seconds to get to the grid.
Riding on board with Oliver Day. The track temperature has moved to 34 degrees. On board with Jill London. That's the end of the
All right,
warm-up.
there it is, 35 seconds.
Tommy Teasdale under pressure from Oliver Day
Good luck,
for the
everybody.
class lead.
See y'all make it to the finish.
Welcome to MNRL McLaren 1998 F1, round 9, presented by Champion Motorsport, Storm Gang Simulation, Optical Dream Soft, Oza Dogan Design, Habley Rishke, Barry DiMarzo, Brian B, JM Tracks, Sim Race 247, Com, Grid Finder, Sim Grid, Apex Modding, and Grand Touring Group. Let's take a walk down the grid. 8 cars ready to race. Beginning with McLaren MP4 13. Top of the class, Tommy Teasdale in the number 6 McLaren MP4 13. At P2, Oliver Day in the BirdLife International. Sean Eric in the number 5 McLaren MP4 13 P3. P4, Carl Schuhoff in the number 19 McLaren MP4 13. Daryl Kruger lines up P5 in the number 22 McLaren MP4 13. Nate Shearer in the number 15 McLaren MP4 13 P6. P7, Bo Stamper in the number 12 McLaren MP4. At P8, Gilles Lalonde in the number 13 McLaren MP4 13.
Yeah, sorry, Nate.
Good luck with the start, and hope to see everybody make it to the end and have some fun, fellas. Thanks for coming out and racing.
Yep, good luck.
Clear away! 8 cars now racing, 44 minutes at Magny Cours. Tommy Teasdale takes over the lead. Clear and dry to begin, 17 degrees ambient. Three cars scrapping over P5. Nate Shero, Gilles Lalonde and Daryl Kruger. On board with Oliver Day, chasing Tommy Teasdale for the lead.
That's the quickest Sector 2 we've seen Oliver Day. Three cars scrapping over P6. Daryl Kruger, Nate Shero and Bo Stamper. Daryl Kruger still under pressure from Bo Stamper for P7 in class.
Nothing between them. On board with Oliver Day, hunting Tommy Teasdale for the lead.
Double for Bo Stamper. Back alive for a day, sitting P2.
Fastest Sector 2 of the session, Tommy Teasdale. Under pressure from Oliver Day for P1 in class.
Three cars nose to tail. Sean, Eric, Oliver Day, and Carl Struhal. Sean Eric still under pressure from Gilles Roland for fourth in class. Here's Carl Struhal's pass on Sean Eric. Issues for Daryl Kruger. We rejoin the race with Tommy Teasdale in the fight. Our cameras on Tommy Teasdale. Tommy Teasdale, still in the fight for the class lead, second lap of this scrap. Oliver Day consistently faster through the first sector.
Here's something interesting we missed. Bo Stamper has problems. Back to the action. Karl Struhal in a fast-changing order. Our cameras on Karl Struhal. Tommy Teasdale fastest, 117.9. Karl Struhal still in the fight for third in class, second lap of the scrap. Sean Eric is making time through the middle sector. Conditions on the change. Track temperature now 42 degrees. Tommy Teasdale in trouble. Here's the replay. We're back live, and Gilles Lalonde's right in the thick of it. Trouble for Daryl Kruger. While the action has quieted down, let's revisit an earlier moment. Daryl Kruger, all over Gilles Lalonde for sixth. We rejoin the race with Karl Struhal in the fight. The camera settles on Karl Struhal. Karl Struhal, still in the fight for third in class, second lap of this scrap. Sean Eric carries more speed through the middle sector. Fastest lap, Tommy Teasdale, 117.8. Sean Eric, all over Karl Struhal for third. The gap is stretching out for Karl Struhal. Sean Eric has the advantage through the middle sector. Sean Eric on the move in McLaren MP4 13. Up to P3. Here's that pass by Sean Eric on Karl Struhel. Back to the action. Karl Struhel in a fast-changing order. While we were elsewhere, Bo Stamper stopped on track on lap 4. Back to the action. And Oliver Day's up to P1. Onboard camera on Oliver Day. Issues for Bo Stamper. Watch the incident. We're back. Live. Tommy Teasdale now P2. In the cockpit with Tommy Teasdale. Let's look back at something we missed earlier. Karl Struhel in trouble. We're back live, and Nate Shiro is right in the thick of it. The camera settles on Nate Shiro. And still right there in the fight for 5th in class, 2nd lap of this scrap. Gilles Lalonde is faster in, but Daryl Kruger gets the better exit from the first and final sectors. Our cameras on Oliver Day. That's where Tommy Teasdale is making time through the first sector. Here's something interesting we missed. We rejoin the race. Gilles Lalonde running P6. On board with Gilles Lalonde, chasing Nate Shiro for 5th. Gilles Lalonde, still in the fight for 5th in class. Second lap of this scrap. Oliver Day tops the times with a 1:17.6. Gilles Lalonde, right on the gearbox, wheel to wheel, 0.5 seconds back. Cameras holding this shot. And still right there in the fight for 5th in class, second lap of this scrap. Oliver Day fastest, 1:17.6. Nate Shiro, chasing Karl Struhal for 4th in class. You could set your watch by Oliver Day's lap times. Gilles Lalonde, all over Nate Shiro for 4th. Pit stop for Nate Shiro, currently P4. Gilles Lalonde confirmed into P4. Nate Shiro was pitting. And Bo Stamper drops out of the race from P8. In the cockpit with Oliver Day. Oliver Day is quicker through the first sector. On board once more with Tommy Teasdale. Tommy Teasdale still in the fight for the class lead. Second lap of this scrap. The first sector is where Tommy Teasdale pulls away. Tommy Teasdale still in the fight for the class lead. Third lap of this scrap. The camera settles on Oliver Day. Oliver Day looking strong in first place. The leader Oliver Day has built a gap. And still right there, in the fight for the class lead, second lap of this scrap. Oliver Day leading the race. On board with Tommy Teasdale. That's where Tommy Teasdale is making time, through the first sector. Tommy Teasdale, still in the fight for the class lead. Second lap of this scrap. Trouble for Tommy Teasdale. Let's see what happened.
Thank you, Daryl.
Back live, Oliver Day sitting P1. Trackside was Oliver Day. While the action has quieted down, let's revisit an earlier moment. Back to the action, and Sean Eric's up to P3. Our cameras on Sean Eric. The lap times are starting to drop off for Sean Eric. Karl Struhal has the advantage at the first sector. Sean Eric has cut the gap by 17.2 seconds. The camera finds Oliver Day. Oliver Day and Tommy Teasdale trading advantages through the first and final sectors. Oliver Day with the entry, Tommy Teasdale with the exit at the first and final sectors. Oliver Day has found some pace in the last few laps. The camera settles on Tommy Teasdale. Fastest lap, Tommy Teasdale, 1:17.5. That's 0.10 quicker than Oliver Day. Tommy Teasdale brakes later. Sean Eric exits faster at the first and final sectors. Oliver Day extending the lead. Ten minutes to go. Tommy Teasdale and Sean Eric trading time through the first and final sectors. Tracking Oliver Day. The camera settles on Sean Eric. The times are coming down for Sean Eric.
Thanks, Nick.
On board with Oliver Day. Tommy Teasdale is quicker through the first sector. That's where Tommy Teasdale is making time, through the first sector. Oliver Day leads 30 laps in. Tommy Teasdale has the advantage at the first sector, still riding on board. Tommy Teasdale tops the times with a 1:17.2. Riding on board with Oliver Day. Tommy Teasdale consistently faster through the first sector. The first sector is where Tommy Teasdale pulls away.
I lost it, Carl.
Two minutes remaining.
Merci.
Oliver Day holding P1. That's where Tommy Teasdale is making time, through the first sector. 1 minute left in the session. Staying on board here. Tommy Teasdale consistently faster through the first sector. Impressive consistency from Tommy Teasdale. Our camera's on Oliver Day. Race complete. On to cooldown. The winner is Oliver Day.
Tommy Teasdale finishes P2. Third place is Sean Eric, Carl Strulholm P4. Our coverage of MNRL McLaren 1998 F1 on Champion Motorsport, Storm Gang Simulation, Optical Dream Soft, Ozadugan Design, Habley Rishi, Barry DiMarzo, Brian B, JM Tracks, Sim Race 247. Come, Grid Finder, SimGrid, Apex Modding, and Grand Touring Group comes to a close. Thanks for joining us. P5, Gilles Lalonde. On to the rest of the finishers. P6, Daryl Kruger. Chairo Home P7. Filling out the order, P8 for Bo Stamper.
All right. Congratulations, Oliver, and everybody that finished. And thanks for coming out. I hope you enjoyed it. The next one will be Hungaroring in these cars next month. So that'll be followed up by Suzuka later on in September.
Yeah, I think I got a hair appointment that day.
Hungaroring not suiting your fancy, huh?
Yeah, these cars.
Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah, well, you have to play with your diff. Mine was not right, but I drove it anyway. Carl, I gave it everything I got, but
No, I knew. I felt you back there, man. I kept looking at that Delta, and I was like, there's an ebb and flow, and I was like, boy, if you screw up, he's gonna get you.
But in the bowl at I don't know, corner 2, the one that turns right and goes back up the hill, just before the little green apex, it just rotated.
Well, that made it interesting because I knew you were back there.
But is Bo still with us?
Did he leave? He left. Yeah, he's gone.
That's always bad when you don't finish the first race, you come back. Yeah,
Thanks,
it was.
Appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome. Thanks for coming out and racing, everybody.
And Nate, what happened to you? You went into the pit twice.
First time I went in there, and as soon as I got to the pit lane, it spun and went into a stall, and then I was stuck in a wall.
Oh,
Holy.
So I got out of the wall, and then I was backwards. So now I was like, well, now what do I do? So I had to make a 8-point turn to get around, back going the same way. But now my tires were so flat spotted from trying to turn around that I had to turn around. I had to go back in the pits, and then trying to look over at my keyboard, I almost killed Oliver.
And then I heard you took on hard tires. The crew chief said, and I was like, why would he put hards on?
I was just trying anything to make it.
Yeah, I got you.
The software would have been. You guys ran soft all the way?
Yeah, because we knew we were pitting.
Yeah, soft. I went on medium because I wanted them to stay equal as long as no degradation there. That's what I wanted. I went on medium.
I had my 2 stops planned, but not at the time I wanted.
Oh, you were going for a 2-stop. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was less fuel each time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Sean, was that setup? I thought was going to run out of fuel, and I started dicking with the pit menu and spun, and I added like 5 gallons because I thought for some reason I wasn't going to make it.
I was using 596.
Well, we started with 26 gallons, which I'm not sure what that is in liters, of course.
112, I think.
I started with 110, and I put 110.
Yeah, I did pretty close. I thought the same, Carl. I started doing math while I was driving, which is a disaster.
Yeah, me too, exactly.
But I ended up leaving it alone pretty much, and it worked out about right.
I should have just trusted it was going to make it, because after you spun and I was in front of you, the only thing that got me worried is when crew chief said you've used half your fuel, and we were only like 15 minutes into the race, and I was like, my mind started saying you ain't got enough, and so you know how that is when.
But it was actually correct. You were using half your fuel of what you had in the tank. So
I guess so. Yeah. But my mind said you're going to have to add fuel. So I started dicking with the pit menu, and I always suck as well in these cars. And how the hell do Formula One drivers ever how do they do all that bullshit?
I don't know.
They have a team behind them to do all the thinking.
That's true too, but they do a lot of work on the wheel.
Yeah,
that's like I remember seeing Daniel Ricciardo's in car like at Monaco or some shit, and he made 18 changes during the lap on the wheel. I'm like, what?
Wow,
it's crazy.
Well, this server will go down, and then everyone's favorite, the Carter 1985 series, will come to a conclusion.